Well, this afternoon, Ghana's natural flood buffers are disappearing at an alarming rate, with the government blaming years of unchecked development on wetlands and waterways for the worsening country's flood crisis. Well, new data presented by Kojo Ohene Safo, coordinator of the Garrett project and member of the Post-Flood Mitigation Committee, show the Kole Lagoon has shrunk from 261 meters wide in 2002 to just 10.9 meters today, while more than half of Sakumono Ramsar site, we are told, have also been lost to development, a trend he says is driving the devastating floods affecting communities. While he made the remarks during a national update on the recent floods. Let's listen.
The wetlands as well as the streams and storm drains. And we found certain developments that are quite stark and we want to share with you. Starting off from most of the water bodies take their sources from the hillsides, the Akwapim range. You would see that in 2023, the image to the left, I believe, the developments were not as many on the hillsides, and within 3 years, you see densification of developments that are happening in 2026, the same location. I want to proceed to the Densu-Weja Basin. In 2010, the image of the Tetegu wetlands would show you on the left that it had barely any developments there. But by 2026, half of the land is virtually gone. So the city does not have enough space for water to pond to allow for the runoffs not to disturb settlements. These are images that are showing how developments are proceeding in those areas. The pattern has been people import materials, fill, especially in the dry season, and then wet season, they wait the next cycle of dry season, then they start building and taking up the spaces. Again, the next image, you saw how some of the developments are pushing the water courses into misdirecting them, so they are now meandering instead of having to follow the straight paths that originally they were supposed to pass. The Lafa Basin has experienced the same thing. You see the image, this is the Malam section of the Lafa Basin, the Malam Market, close to the Malam Market. In 2010, a few developments in the wetlands, but by 2026, more than half of the land is already taken up by developments. Again, we show you images here bordering on the salt pans at Pambros. And most of the lands here were filled with solid waste, capped with laterite, and then built upon, taking up all the land that nature has given us for us to hold water whenever there's excess runoff. The next slide is showing you how the solid waste is imported to fill the wetlands. We will show videos, a 5-minute video after this presentation to make underpin what we are talking about. Peshi, you see the image, in the image, the boundaries that are bordered by the red line was the extent as at 2012. The white line is the extent as at 2026. We've again lost about half of the lands there to developments. We wanted to take a particular point to make the case. In the Kojo stream that feeds into the Peshi Lagoon, the point where we have fixed point A, as you see in the image, as of 2002, the width of the Kojo River was 261 meters. By 2013, almost 10 years later, it had reduced to 211 meters. By 2022, it had shrunk to 19 meters. And by 2026, it has shrunk to 10.6 meters. So in a space of less than 25 years, we have reduced almost to 100% the size of the flow. And so when it rains and people are complaining this is flooding, this is the kind of human behavior that is leading to the situation that we are facing. Now, on the East Legon Boundary Road, there's a water body that is called the Tessa Dam. The red boundary is the extent as at 2008. The white boundary is the current extent. We've lost more than 50% of the catchment there. The Sakumono Basin. The red boundary is showing us the situation as at 2011. The white boundary is showing us the situation as at 2026. More than half of the Sakumono site has been lost to development. These are some of the images that you see in the Sakumono catchment, where people fill and they are more or less recovering the land from the Ramsar site, almost up to the point of where it enters the sea. Second image is showing again how developments are taking up all the spaces and affecting the communities. We also did some numbers, some analysis, assembly by assembly. We're just taking a snapshot to give you just the numbers. And we did it assembly by assembly, where the main water bodies are. Ayawaso Central, as at for the stretch that we did the analysis, as at 2022, there were 6 structures. Luckily for them, in that same stretch, presently no developments have happened there. But that really is an isolated case. Ayawaso Central, 793 as at 2022, 801 as at 2026. Ayawaso East, 337 as at 2022, 494 as at 2026. Ayawaso North, 365 as at 2022, 365 as at 2026. For some of these, is because the place is already fully built up, so there's no space for further developments to take place. Ayawaso West, 1 additional structure between 2022 and 2026. The GAF Central, 54 additional structures between 2022 and 2025. Now we have 2,329 structures in the section that we analyzed. Kole Klote, in the section we analyzed, from 178 to 186 structures. Dadi Kotopon, from 207 to 295. Okaikwe North, from 596 to 729 for just the small section that we analyzed. Wejagbawi, from 462 to 511 in the years that we did the analysis. Lejokuku, 544 to 638 in the intervening period. Ga East, from 693 to 711. Katamanso, from 171 to 214. Ablekuma West, from 904 to 1,293. Gan West, from 456 to 559. Gan North, from 1,049 to 1,261. Gan South, from 746 to 871 structures. With just this sample, we are seeing that of the 16 assemblies that we did the analysis for shares.
Well, government says it is rolling out a nationwide flood recovery and resilience plan aimed at reducing the impact of future floods following the devastating June 29 deluge that claimed dozens of lives, including children and babies. Well, at that national briefing, which we brought you excerpts on disaster, the Director General of Joint Operations at the Ghana Armed Forces, Brigadier General Foster Okai Yeboah, said motorists should expect temporary traffic diversions as rehabilitation and drainage works get underway, while he also urged the public to cooperate with traffic officials and keep drains free of refuge to support the flood prevention efforts.
Safeguard public health and strengthen national resilience against future flooding. In the immediate aftermath of the disaster, His Excellency the President of the Republic conducted an area reconnaissance of the affected areas to obtain a first-hand assessment of the extent of the devastation and to direct government's response based on the realities on the ground. Following this assessment, the President directed the activation of a national post-flood mitigation task force to coordinate all recovery, relief, and mitigation interventions. To ensure an effective and coordinated response, specialized subcommittees have been established, namely the Anti-Flood Task Force, which is now the Post-Flood Mitigation Committee, Early Warning Committee, Sanitation and Health Committee, Relief and Donations Committee, and Emergency Communications Committee. As an immediate demonstration of the government's commitment to the welfare of affected communities, His Excellency the President has committed 350 million Ghana cedis to support emergency relief, recovery, and flood mitigation interventions. Government has further directed that the Ghana Armed Forces lead the operational component of the mitigation effort. This will be done in collaboration with the relevant agencies under the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, the National Disaster Management Organization, the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies, the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Health Service, the Environmental Protection Agencies, private sector organizations, and other relevant stakeholders. The nationwide cleanup and recovery exercise will focus on restoring public safety, improving sanitation, and preventing secondary disasters such as outbreaks of cholera, typhoid, and other waterborne diseases. Particular attention will be given to the removal of refuse, silt, fallen trees, abandoned vehicles, collapsed structures, and other debris obstructing roads, bridges, drains, and waterways. As part of the operation, the Ghana Armed Forces will deploy personnel, engineers, specialized equipment to clear major drains, streams, rivers, and other critical waterways. In accordance with applicable laws and directives of the appropriate civil authorities, structures illegally erected within waterways or that pose an immediate danger to public safety and flood mitigation efforts may be removed where necessary. The Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies have also been directed to organize and lead cleanup exercises within their respective jurisdictions in support of the national operation. Their efforts will complement those of the Ghana Armed Forces and other security agencies to ensure that all affected communities receive the required attention. The government is particularly grateful to the numerous private sector organizations that have responded positively to the national appeal by voluntarily providing heavy equipment, technical expertise, and logistics to support.
Well, still on the floods, days after the devastating downpour, dozens of victims at Aveno in Accra are enduring harsh living conditions with little relief in sight, while many, including women and children who lost everything, are sleeping on rubber mats without bedding or mosquito nets as they struggle to rebuild their lives. Well, my colleague Miraculous Namoko spent the night with them and brings us this report.
Is what remains of a family still trying to recover from Monday's devastating flood. While you retire to the comfort of your bed, most of the residents here say the reality has only become more difficult. Now let's hear from them and know how they've been coping since Monday and what they actually need in this heartbreaking moment.
Yeah. If I may ask, are you able to sleep in the rooms? Like, how is the room conditions like?
With the room conditions, we are not able to sleep, as I said earlier on, because like there's mud inside the room, so you have to do proper cleaning before you can even sleep. And even when we are done, the room is so cold. For some of us, you have to go far distance and then come back again to come and continue.
Briefly, since Monday, have you received any form of help?
No. Since Monday, I think we've not received any form of help. Even though we've lost, a lot of items. Because me, for instance, looking at how it's happened, you just can't carry some things out, or you can't be like, let me take this thing. No. You just have to leave everything behind you, and then you rush for your life.
The
floods have destroyed most of our belongings, leaving us sleeping on mats on the cold floor without food or a place to stay. We are pleading for government support and help to clear the damaged items that have become refuse.
Some parents also grieve over how the incident has affected their work and disrupting their children's education.
Me and my children, we are just managing for now.
And for the kids, how are they coping? Are they able to go back to school?
No. Since then, they've not gone to school. Their school uniform, their school bag, everything was soaked. So I couldn't raise anything.
They say despite visits by officials, practical support is yet to reach many of them. Their appeal is for food, bedding, temporary shelter, and assistance to begin rebuilding their lives.
We've lost our bed, our clothes, food stuff, and other things. For me, especially what I need right now is bed sheet, and let's say clothes and food. That's what we need.
Now to find small house and stay, or buy small little bed, just like that, it's okay.
So clearly, you need a new place to sleep, and then some room accessories and all of that.
Buy some things, buy bed, some, even to go, everything will spoil. So small.
Standing here is a home in Aveno. It's already past 11 p.m. and residents in this house are already outside thinking of where to sleep tonight. They tell me since Monday, life has not been easy at all. Where to sleep is a problem. What to eat is a bother to them. How to go back to work, how to resume to their normal life is nothing good writing home about. So this moment, they need help. That is their cry at the moment. Reporting for Joy News, I am Na Moko, Aveno.
Well, worrying visuals there. We've been hearing from flood victims. They are struggling to rebuild their lives after this week's deadly deluge. They're facing another setback. Some of them tell us that they've lost their passports and other vital documents. Well, in response, we're hearing from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They put out a statement. They say they're introducing an emergency passport replacement process for affected Ghanaians. And that's coming up on your screens right now, telling us what exactly their plans are. It states that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs extends its deepest sympathies to all persons affected by this week's devastating floods in many parts of Ghana. The ministry is aware of the catastrophic consequences, including loss of lives and the destruction of properties. They go on to state that we extend our sincere and deepest condolences to the families and loved ones of the deceased. The ministry expresses strong solidarity with all affected companions. They state that the ministry recognizes that due to the floods, many Ghanaians may have either lost their passports or had them damaged. The ministry has decided to implement an expedited replacement of lost and damaged Ghanaian passports as a result of the floods. Now, they put out their number there, 055-936-8563. I'll take that again, 055-936-8563. They say if you're an affected person, you could call them so they can provide you with all the details that you need. You would have to provide them with all the details that they need, and then they'll go ahead to produce an emergency passport for you. Well, as flood waters begin to recede, the attention is shifting from rescue efforts to a wider human and public health impact of the disaster. Authorities already grappling with the emotional toll on grieving families and the urgent need for coordinated recovery support alongside calls for national recognition of lost lives. Well, the former National Health Insurance Authority boss, Dr. Da Costa is calling for a national day of mourning for the victims. Also joining us to have this conversation would be him and a UK-based Ghanaian health and safety expert, Edward Deborah. We appreciate your time, gentlemen. I'd like to start with Dr. Dacosta Boaji, because your concern right now is about providing psychological help and also ensuring that the deceased gets the needed and befitting burial that they need. Tell us more about your concern.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners. I think as human, we really need to take the vulnerable, we need to treat the vulnerable well. And as a country, our greatest asset is how we treat the vulnerable in society. We were in this country when we had a helicopter crash. 7 or 8 of our heroes actually lost their lives. There was an immediate national mourning where every citizen sympathized with their families and the nation as well. Now here we are. There is a national disaster. I expect the president to actually declare a day or two of national mourning of the vulnerable souls lost. This will signify the greatness, it will signify that we actually respect the dignity of the dead or those who lost their lives, and their families will also be, at least, be comforted. It cannot be things as usual, as we are saying. This is a national disaster. I think no country would just look on. See, I was listening to the news. We've lost one of our citizens in South Africa. The foreign ministry is doing well by taking action. But here we are in our own backyard. 37 lives have actually been lost. And we have not called for national mourning. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. We should treat the vulnerable very, very well.
And Doc, as floodwaters recede, really, what are the most immediate health risks that we're most likely to face, especially in affected communities?
Thank you. I think, drinking water, obviously the waters are actually affected. So the likely waterborne diseases are baby cholera, malaria, typhoid, and others. But I think, I noted that I heard someone speaking, the military person speaking, of which I think the president has appointed him to put measures in place. So I think those concerns, working with the Ghana Health Service and the health authorities, will be good. And the Environmental Services Department will be good. But look, we are also in this country. We don't even have the environment minister. We don't have an environment minister. Aside of all this happening, we don't have the military minister. We don't have the defense minister. But these things defense. We do have the interior minister, but this, you see, because the army is involved. Like I said, this is a national disaster. So I think I'll also use this opportunity to call on the president to put the appropriate people in place to deal with some of these things, because the way we respond to emergency actually reflects the kind of people we are. And I repeat it, the way we obviously tackle emergency reflects the kind of people that we are. This is a natural disaster. It can happen, obviously by our behavior, it has happened. Take it or not, it has already happened. But we need to minimize the impact. See, what the metro, what warnings did they give the public in such a way that there was supposed to be evacuation from the flood-prone areas? Any country will evacuate their citizens to appropriate safety places. 2, it has happened. What was obviously the measures put in place? Was I don't know how to put it. How do we obviously protect the citizens in the process of the happenings? What we saw was actually a disorganized, disoriented, non-coordinated action People were left on their own. I believe that we should declare a national day of mourning for the lost souls, because their blood, there were blood flowing on them in their veins as well. And I think it's time for us to call on the president to do the needful.
And because
civil
of
society must actually be talking. I don't know why. See, all of a sudden everybody has gone to sleep. No. This cannot be the country that our forefathers left for us. No. Something is wrong in this country. I'm being honest. Something is wrong in this country. It cannot be. I mean, how do we even sleep? Looking at the images. Are people able to sleep?
I can see that you're quite concerned, but I want to focus on the health implications because of your health background. We're also seeing reports of displacement and overcrowded shelters. Our reporters went on the ground, and so we're wondering how we can deal with that so that we don't have diseases springing up as the flood waters recede.
So like we did in the COVID, I think it should be all society approach.
Okay.
So the Ghana Health Service, the CHAG, and other non-governmental organizations should actually be part of the response. I know the military is dealing with it, but everybody should be part of the response to make sure that we minimize the impact. I mean, there is no time for politics here. I don't even understand why we will politicize this, because those who lost their lives, no one can tell me that this is NDC or MPP anyway. So why are we politicizing? This is a national emergency. Then I've heard people saying, MPP, when you were there, what did you do? NDC, what? I mean, there is a national emergency, for God's sake, and we need to deal with it. Like we are saying, the impact, I mean, there must also be a public health emergency alert. I don't know if it has gone because I haven't seen one. Directing people on what to do. And we have to find places for people to stay. At least NADMO can also provide some items to people. Food and fruits and all those things can be provided to the affected communities.
And beyond physical health, what kind of psychological or even emotional trauma are survivors likely to be dealing with after such a disaster? And what kind of help can government even give to them at this time?
I think the impact, definitely it has mental health implications. And I will entreat the Mental Health Authority to take action, provide counseling where needed to the affected population, because it's very, very important that we obviously identify the affected people to offer them counseling and also psychological education or psychological things, so that obviously they are comforted and we're able to deal with their mental health issues as well.
Stay with me, Doc. Let me bring in Edward. He is a health and safety expert. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Because you are a health and safety expert, it's good to get your perspective. In the UK, where you are based, how do they deal with issues like this, especially when you're dealing with receding flood waters? And there are concerns that individuals may actually be dealing with disease outbreaks as a result of the flooding. How do you deal with it over there?
Thank you very much for having me, and kudos to your listeners as well. So it is an interesting approach that happens when it happens here in the UK. You would have to appreciate the fact that it's an advanced country and there's properly well-coordinated emergency response. So citizens can't just get up and start doing things by themselves. Response time for ambulance, for the fire service, and all of them are prompt, right? So you call them and in minutes they're there. So they come with all the resources that people need to sort of fix the situation. We also realize that people do not build just as we build in Ghana. You need to go through the planning and permissions. So everything that is built is well planned. Wiring, everything else, gutters, all of them, drains are well managed properly. You don't find waste being thrown around. Of course, there are a few people who do indiscriminate disposal of refuse, but it's not as compared to Ghana on the scale. So they have a properly well laid out emergency response plan for almost everything, and it is accessible for everyone. If you want to read, you go on the government website, you get that and you read. That is where we are lacking. Clearly, we always react to things. We are more reactive than being proactive. That is where our problem is. I've looked at the situation from Ghana dated back as far as June 3rd, 2015 till now. To be very honest with you, we've got opportunity to actually learn, but unfortunately, we never learned. And this is what happens when you refuse to learn. Because in 2015, I was practicing in Ghana in the oil and gas industry. I was very much in the thick of affairs when the June 3rd disaster happened. My company at the time sanctioned me to do an independent investigation. And what I found out was quite telling. Unfortunately, there's not been any single report in the system that suggests that these were the lessons we learned, or this is what happened, so we could improve on it. Nothing happened. We sat down, it happened in Apiate, same thing. So you see, we need to have a properly well-coordinated emergency front that is very easy for each and everybody to assess. I know the fire service used 191, I think, police 192, and ambulance 193. But how quick do they respond to people when they are in distress? Those are the things we need to look at first.
And I'm wondering, from a health and safety perspective, because you've done extensive work in that field, what practical safety measures really should households, especially knowing that you're staying around flood-prone areas, what can you even do or adopt after heavy rains, seeing that our response time for most of our agencies are quite poor?
In the first place, I'll lay this challenge at the doorstep of governance, weak governance. First of all, we are not supposed to build the waterways in the first place. So those people who grant the permit, the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies should be held to account. There's a reason they are leading those institutions. Don't just accept money from people and grant them permits to put up structures. We should be governed by laws, right? So if the laws are not biting enough, people will continue to do what they are doing, and the result is what we see. As an individual, if I want to rent a space to live with my family, I've got to consider a lot of things. Proximity to markets, proximity to safety, hospital, all of those things need to be considered. Not just because I'm going through challenges, so I need to just live anywhere I can get because it is affordable. Sometimes it might be cheaper, but the consequences could be dire. Today, lives have been lost. Properties have been lost. So many things have happened. How long will they take to recoup or recover from all this distress? So individuals will have to be more responsible in making choices as to where we want to live, so that at least we know that we can be safeguarded. Because, I mean, in a local language, that's where we are today.
And what key infrastructure improvements would actually significantly reduce some of the recurrence that we're seeing, or the severity of this flooding incidents we're recording, especially in the capital?
I'll put down to two things: people's behaviors and, of course, weak governance again. People's behaviors, because we throw rubbish anywhere. Recently, I've seen videos circulating where people were actually putting their household waste in water bodies when it rained, because they felt that was a bit easier way to, dispose of refuse. We've got to ensure that we use the bins as it's supposed to be, and the people who manage the waste as well must be up and doing. They silt the gutters on time, pick the skips on time, dustbins and things, remove them, dispose of them so they can be empty. Because if the dustbins are not empty, people will not have any means of disposing them. They will still leave it there. So once we provide more dustbins and things, it will help. Advocacy is equally very important. People have to be educated. You'll be surprised the level of people who do not know what to do in managing their own domestic waste. We need to send education to them in simple language, very easy to understand ones. Then, of course, the most responsibility will be on government. Government would have to make sure that there are reforms. I know that there are laws and bylaws on waste, but are they effective? Is it time for us to begin to consider reviewing these laws? In any case at all, are we even considering punishing people who grant permits for such projects to take place? Because until we begin to see some deterrent, nothing is going to change. We seem to rely on, I know this person, he knows that person, so when I'm in trouble, I'll be left off the hook. Because of that, people do things, take the law into their hands, and the poor and the vulnerable ones are the ones that suffer. We need to change that attitude. So when governance is improved and human attitude also changes, we will be able to turn the tides.
And you've just touched on a few, but I'm quite interested in some lessons that we can learn as a country, especially from the UK. How best can we manage flooding? And I'm focused on the urban flooding centers. How can we deal with that effectively, apart from the emergency response time, which you made mention of?
So most importantly, we have gotten to a stage where in Ghana, everybody's house is now tiled. Can we begin to have some trees? When I was growing up, Ridge, where the ministries and things are, used to have a lot of trees, avenue trees. You could walk for several distances and you wouldn't sweat because there was clean air that we could breathe. Now all those trees have been cut, all in the name of real estate. Can we change our attitudes? Do we have to allow some buffer? Because when it rains, we should have some soil that will absorb some of the rain. If everything else is tiled, where does it go? It has to end up in the sea. And somebody has built their house just by the sea, so the water won't get a place to go. It will be lurking around the same area. So we need to look at our urban planning. We should start having some greens, proper green zones and all that. Encourage people to obviously have some garden and some things within their vicinities and their homes. So when it rains, some of them could be there. And then we should stop our attitude of always, throwing rubbish into gutters. Gutters must be cleaned, desilted at all times. When all these things are done, it would help. If you block waterways, water will find its way out. We can't stop water. It's so powerful. So once we keep to waterways and we protect the waterways from filth, from debris and all of that, we will be able to live comfortable lives that we'll be proud of. But remember, we are all trying to climate change is real, right? And its impact, obviously, is going to be devastating. We can't sit aloof and watch things. All the things that are happening, 90% are caused by human behaviors. 90%. It's just about 10 that probably might be equipment failing and things like that. So once human behaviors change, and of course with laws, everything else will change. In the UK, the laws work. You don't need to know somebody to do the right thing. You have to do the right thing because that is the law. So let's get to that phase where our laws work. They are biting enough. And then when you go wrong, there are consequences that everybody would know that, okay, if I do this, this is the punishment. Once we know that, and the punishment will be applied without fear nor favor, we will begin to see a lot of changes. I heard Dr. Da Costa made mention of politicization. That is one thing we need to stop. Because politics won't help anybody. At the end of the day, if you die, when you get to the morgue, nobody asks whether you are an MPP or NDC. And if Ghana works, it benefits all of us. But we've got to push in a coordinated way to ensure our system works.
Edward, thank you so much. Let me go to Doc because he's still with us. As we wrap up the conversation, Doc, you are raising concerns about we playing politics with this, but you are the politicians. You are the ones that seem to always play politics with this. So practically, as we move forward, what advice can you give families and communities, especially because they are beginning the process of rebuilding their lives after the floods?
Okay, thank you. So you see, politics should have its end. Like I said, you see, those who died, no one can tell me this is NDC or MPP. So depoliticizing emergency is very important. And like I said, this is national emergency. So we need to be singing like more nationalistic in solving the issue than politicizing it. At the end of the day, when we politicize it, what solutions will it bring to us? But we need solutions. So now my advice is, you see, to families, I think behavior change is very important. When you drink water, please find the nearest dustbin or take it home to put it or dispose it appropriately. Don't sit in a car and just throw your water bottle on the road because it will end up in the gutters. And I think I remember a couple of years, people have actually been doing this weekly cleaning or monthly environmental cleaning of surroundings. That's very important because that helps local communities to actually clean gutters. And I think if we can continue like Operation Clean Your Frontage, Clean Ghana, those initiatives are good because it will actually help to clean the gutters. Then I also think that let me advise people that because of the situation, please wash your hands frequently and also wash your vegetables and food very well because, obviously, it may be contaminated. You never know where the food will be coming from. Then, as I said, stagnant waters must be dealt with to prevent mosquito bleeding, which will obviously lead to malaria. So those are my advice to families and the whole Ghanaian citizen.
Thank you so much, Doc, for your time. Dr. Da Costa Boaji, he's former CEO for NHIA. Earlier I spoke to Edward. He's a health and public safety expert. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Well, 4 days after torrential rains triggered severe flooding across parts of Accra, authorities have begun major recovery operations to recover vehicles that were swept into drainage channels, including Alajo, where floodwaters left several cars stranded in the open. Well, the exercise, which has been carried out for a couple of days now, they've been retrieving heavy-duty machinery, and they are saying that they'll be going on until everywhere is cleared. My colleague Collins Frimfom is on the ground. He joins us live. He's currently live at Alajo. We're told that efforts are underway to clear the blocked drains and retrieve the affected vehicles. Collins, take me away.
Already we know that over 38,000 people were displaced, with 7.7k household also being affected. And here at Alajo, we've already been engaging people right from Monday till now. But this is the Alajo Odona River or main gutter here that serves as a main drainage that absorbs the volumes of water that moves through this particular community. What happened on Monday brought a lot of vehicles, swept a lot of vehicles into this particular gutter. And not only that, we have also heard reports of people dying, being pulled out of this river. We can't put number to that particular incident yet, but here so far since I came here, I've counted multiple cars, about 10 vehicles already in this particular drainage. Today we've seen a heavy moving or heavy duty machine already on site that is making amends to pull the remaining vehicles in the Alajo drainage. And there are a lot of people also around here. What I have observed is that people are trying to salvage some of their things. This particular location also serves as a hub where they repair or mechanics repair a lot of vehicles. So most of the vehicles that you are seeing are from some of the mechanic shops. I have the member of parliament for Ayawaso Central that I want to engage. Honorable, I know you are busy, but you are live on Joy News. This afternoon, I've seen that a heavy-duty machine has been moved to this side. With your work and also in connection with that of the Municipal Assembly, so far, what's the situation here at Alajo?
So far, I think the major challenge we are facing right now is the collection of the refuse that you can see piled all over the place. You know, there was no house that was spared during the downpour. So every, property or TV, beds, mattresses, they've all become refuse, and we have to collect them before it turns into something else. So we are running against time to ensure that we don't face a cholera outbreak or something like that. So currently we are doing our possible best to clear the electoral areas to ensure that we don't end up having some outbreak of any kind of sickness. But as we speak right now, the vehicle here is helping us remove all the vehicles that are stuck in the Odona River. Currently we are looking at we've counted about close to 22 to 25 vehicles that are still in the river. We are trying to get them out.
Interesting. So getting them out, are we just going to leave them here on the banks of this particular river, or we have a place that we want to keep them?
Yeah, what happened was that most of the owners of the vehicles are here. Some of them are from the fitting shop that were dragged into here. So those that are from the fitting shop will be taken back to the fitting shop. The owners who are also here and are willing to collect their vehicles will assist them move the vehicles to their various homes or wherever the vehicles were. Those that were not, we can identify the owners. We are going to park them here, and we'll do the necessary identification, and then we'll proceed from there.
So far, how is the relief items distribution going from here? And yesterday we saw you and your team, even right from Tuesday, doing some of these exercises. How is it going?
To be honest, we are overwhelmed. Look, everybody is touched. Drinking water, people don't even have water. Food, everything has been destroyed. So I want to take this opportunity to call on anybody who can assist us, who can, whatever you have, clothes, old clothes. If you can, support the municipal. You can bring the items over to the municipal assembly. Then we can come and distribute it. We keep supplying drinking water. Food is not even sufficient. We don't know who to give food to and who not to give food to. The items we receive from NADMO, even though we are grateful for the Carter Foundation, but it's way inadequate. So we are also doing our own little best to complement it. So what we are doing right now is that we are supporting households because we can't help individuals. So when we come to the household, we look at the household and then provide them with items. Maybe they can cook together. We provide them with bags of rice. We give them some oil. We give them some cooking items. But the main issue is that what we have here currently is so inadequate, and we need help and we need support.
Just an honorable one last question before you go. We know there has been a forecast about potential rain even from today, that in the evening, according to GMETS, a heavy rainfall is drifting towards Ghana from Nigeria. What are the measures in place to ensure that those staying in the flood-prone areas do not get affected, or we reduce or we mitigate the impact of the next potential flood?
Okay, the biggest challenge we face, if there's a downpour right now, is all the refuse going back into the gutter. So that is why we are working 24/7. Though of last night we were going around still collecting. Most of our team haven't had any sleep as I speak to you right now. Myself, the MC, and all the team involved, we are working 24/7 to ensure that we collect these things. The challenge we face right now is that we don't have dumping sites. So when they collect the refuse, before they get to the dumping site and come back, it takes about 4 hours. Currently, we are getting support from the Ayawaso North that's supporting us with some of their trucks. Ayawaso East has also joined us this afternoon. Even Ablekuma West are also supporting us with some of their trucks, because my fear is that if we don't collect this refuse, I believe your cameras have captured most of what's on the banks of the river. If we don't collect this and there's another downpour, probably it's going to be worse. So we are running against time to ensure that we collect most of it before there's another downpour.
Are there plans to get a refuse dump within the constituency to make it easy for the people?
I don't think it's possible here. We don't have even the kind of, if you look at our constituency is quite urban and densely populated as well. We don't have such space. What we need is what we call David, what do you call it?
Waste bins?
Not waste bins, the one that the trucks can come and pick up, the skip. We need more of those. But Zoomlion has not been able to provide all that is required of them. So we are going to push and ensure that we get most of it placed in vantage areas, so that when the trucks come, they just pick them up, rather than us. We are struggling to actually even convey the refuse into the trucks that's loading them. So those are some of the challenges we are facing. But alhamdulillah, I can tell you that we are getting a lot of support. There's a lot of pain and there's a lot of hurt, and we want to plead with the community. We have to work together. This is not time to blame why this has happened. This is the time we find pull ourselves through this mess we find ourselves. Once we come out of this, then we can find put in measures to ensure that some of these things don't happen again.
Grateful to you. So that's the Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central, who we just engaged him and giving us an update of the situation happening here. He is a Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central, as I stated earlier. That is Akufo-Addo Rauf. So we will be engaging some of the victims that they have their vehicles in this particular drainage gutter here. Sir, you are live on Joy News. I believe you are one of those that you have vehicles stuck in this particular Alajo gutter. How is it and what really happened? What's your name in the first place?
My name is Bernard Amakwapia, and I'm working at the Benjamin Engineering Workshop.
Do you have vehicles in the gutter?
Yes, please. Our own is 7.
7 vehicles?
Yes, please. 7, but we don't know. But now we see the MP is here. So he said he will remove all the cars from us. So we are waiting. I have noticed that the machine has come. So we are looking at how we can remove the cars.
You mentioned that you worked at a fitting shop and your
Ben engineering workshop.
All right, but now that we are getting these cars stuck in the drainage system out of the gutter, what are the plans for them? Are we going to sell them as scraps, or you plan to refurbish them?
The one we cannot maintain it. We will talk to the owner, then we see what we do. So if you can repair it, then you continue from it. If you can, you give it to the scraps. Because it has been in the water about this 5 days from now, from Monday to now. So it's 5 days, Monday, Friday is Friday. So it's 5 days. I don't think we can work on it. Maybe let's pray. Then we see what we do.
So how is life after the flood? How is life?
Oh, life is not bad. We work already, and we don't know how the thing come. So we have already prepared ourselves there. It's not this one, then we see we don't have nothing on us. By the grace of God, we have prepared ourselves already.
One last question. Are you in a position to... Are you ready for the next flood? Should there be any flood that happens?
No, I don't think there is any fresh or no any rain will fall. But I heard on the news that they said rain will fall. But we are hope. I don't think it will come.
Should it happen? Are you ready?
No, now we are ready. If anything, we just move all the cars from there. We won't let it come in it again.
Okay, thank you. Grateful to you. All right, so that's a victim here at Alajo that we just engaged. He said he has 7 vehicles stuck in this gutter. When we engaged the member of parliament for Ayawaso Central, he mentioned that about 20 vehicles that they have counted stuck in this particular gutter as a result of what happened on Monday. So they are trying to pull them out of this particular gutter. So if you can see in your shots, so at the moment the heavy duty machine known as the excavator is tied to, or there are some ropes tied to it that we have about 4 men already on top of some of the vehicles in the gutter that they are tying the rope so that the excavator can get those cars out of that particular gutter. So this is not your usual scene that you'll be seeing in this country, but unfortunately a natural disaster has caused it. I don't know whether it's a natural disaster or man-made. Well, possibly because maybe our behavior has contributed to that. But sir, I don't know if you want to speak. You are live on Joy News, but I'll try and get to speak to more victims here at Alajo. Sir, good evening, good afternoon. You are live on Joy News. I don't know if you stay around.
Yeah, I stay around.
So far, how is the situation here? Staying around Alajo and looking at how devastating this particular flood on Monday was.
It is quite devastating, but how will you do it? It have already happened, so we are coping, and then we are taking whatever is left out with us. Yes.
Do you have vehicles in the car?
Yes, my vehicle is at the other side, on that footbridge there. Yes.
How many vehicles in the gutter?
Right now, there's about 12 vehicles in the.
I mean, your vehicle.
Yeah, I have only one.
Only one.
Yes.
Where was it, and how did it get into the gutter?
Yeah, it was. I parked it around the railway area, so we pulled it from that place inside the gutter.
A functional machine.
Yeah, functional machine. Yes, a Kia Bongo.
Interesting. So now, what is the plan when it gets pulled out of from the gutter? What do you intend to do with it?
I'll call the mechanic, and then for them to check if it will work. Then I'll see that if I can repair it, and it doesn't work, then I know what to do. Because how will I do? You can't do anything. You can't, unless maybe the government or somebody come in to help. If not that, we can't do anything unless we give it to scraps or something like that. Yes.
Grateful, but what if you get the opportunity to speak to authorities, NADMO, governments, President Mahama, and you've been asked to suggest solutions for this perennial flooding that we keep seeing, what will be your answer?
In terms of the flooding, I see the waterways. We must clear the waterways beside the drains. And you see, like this place, like this, we should put some iron so that it will guide this thing. So that when there is a disaster, maybe at least the metals will guide it. Not everything will go inside. You understand? And then the drains, a lot of the drains are choked. Yeah, a lot of the drains are choked. And a lot of people are living beside the gutter. That one too, it should be looked at. Yes, that is very important.
Grateful to you. So that's also another victim. He has a vehicle already in the gutter there. Say, let me speak to you. Live on Joy News. I've seen that you've been around for quite some time now, even before the excavator moved to site. I don't know if you have a vehicle stuck in the gutter.
Okay. By insurance start here, cars no a dozen or medical ye bebre, a free, and I'm say I carry a fina machine, a baby you know. And in yesterday, you your mamma say, send Cobetimia on peda DNCC quan, a blade on my send a bayer, send Sony a never years, and I contain a car, anti-minglem, because I could a quasha bleeding man, anti-mention, Tinama flood in your morning. And yesterday now, a musa bola, a can hold the by, say Cabola and Cadebeco, Bacas and Intimin Conintinama, and a timidity man ambassador. Yesterday now, one way. But
now, car, the own,
or there be made a nay abubu yet too.
And I won't see him. I made the idea, I'm found quite no answer back here.
And no choke or post office or timidity, Minya. But I say, Binomo, dear, bear trade, dear, the co. Almost so dear, Boboya, and our bands some cars, different cars, at the big co.
Now, Abubuya and Ejuma.
Oh, there be. I feel no more to mechanic, to engine, send a bit to my ye.
That's it. So he said that he also had two Abubuya machines, tricycles, that also got flooded, but not in this particular Alajo gutter, but also just around the area. And at the moment, they are not working, so he has taken them to the mechanic shop for them to look at how they can get it working, or if he has to sell them as scraps. So that's what he said. But he suggested that government should be able to ensure that they are able to provide some metals to block the pathways, so that no vehicle during rain, no rubbish, no vehicle gets stuck into this particular gutter. So this is what is happening here currently at Alajo, here, one of the main drainage systems in Accra here that is able to absorb a large volumes of water. So today, the Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central, as well as the Municipal Chief Executive, have decided that they will come around to get the heavy-duty machines that are stuck in the gutter. When he spoke to the Member of Parliament earlier, he mentioned that they are at the moment overwhelmed with the situation on ground, as they are not able to even cater for those that have been affected by the flood. And to add this to on top, you can also see the refuse around that particular area that is also contributing to the heavy flooding in the Alajo constituency, Alajo area in the Ayawaso Central. And he is suggesting that if authorities, when he says authorities, those in higher rank can assist with big trucks, big containers that can take refuse from this particular area, because they don't have a refuse dump, a refuse site in the constituency, so they had to travel for about 4 hours before they can do that, and that is contributing to the filth in this particular area. So they are pleading with authorities to come and assist them, and also pleading with people outside that you can help, that you should donate some items to support support what is happening, victims that currently are in the situation they are in terrible situation at the moment. So this is what is happening here at the moment here at Alajo, that authorities are trying after 4 days trying to pull some of the vehicles, about 20 according to the member of parliament, about 20 vehicles that got stuck in the Addo River at Alajo here.
Thank you so much, Collins, for bringing us that. Well, sad times ahead of us because GMET has issued a weather alert for parts of the country as strong rainstorm moves into Ghana from northern borders, with Togo and other areas expected to be putting in some more pressure on Ghana. Residents in the Upper East region, we are told, the Northeast region, the Northern region, OT regions are expected to experience thunderstorms and heavy rainfalls and strong winds, according to this weather warning from GMET, from mid-morning into the afternoon, with other northern and middle belt regions also likely to receive rain later in the day. Well, they are urging us, the public, to stay safe and alert. They say we should secure our outdoor items and avoid driving or walking through flood waters. And so we're hoping that you stay safe out there. Unfortunately, more rains for us. Only in this part of the world where rains, which is actually good, supposed to help with farm produce, is actually something that brings so much disaster to us. Hopefully, we can see change. Well, let's head now to Parliament, where there is a bipartisan support for calls for financial support for all market women affected by Monday floods. The call was made by the Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo, who in a statement said special government efforts must go into reviving all affected markets as a result of the floods. Well, my colleague James Aveji has a wrap of what transpired in Parliament.
Now, members of Parliament from both sides of the House are united in a call for support for all victims of the recent flood, but especially market women who lost all their wares in the course of the incident. Some MPs, for instance, call for deepening public education to these market women on how they can ensure their trade in order to mitigate the losses in future occurrences, while the minority is also cautioning government against any attempt to divert any of the $350 million that has been voted to take care of relief and mitigation measures.
I attach so much importance to this statement, and I want to encourage colleagues and encourage everybody and Ghanaians, whilst we are sympathizing with them, what are we doing to at least assist them in this difficult time? The insurance companies in Ghana, government must motivate them and sit with them to see how they will come together, educate our market women to ensure their goods and what they are doing in the markets with the insurance companies. In that way, at least even if it is 2 cedis a day, 100,000 women, 2 cedis a day for 1 year, they will be getting 70-something million Ghana cedis. In case one of their shops is burnt, government is able to fall on the insurance companies to pay for the damage.
In the whole of Greater Accra, I have suffered most. And let me thank the majority leader for an intervention. That when it comes to situations like this, we should not be partisan. We should be our brothers' keepers at this point. And let us understand that irrespective of your party affiliation, the life that you are saving today may be the one that will save you tomorrow. The monies that the president has asked that it should be disbursed or it be used for whatever purposes, we are calling on the Minister of Finance that it should expedite and ensure that it will go to the right people, the right recipients, Speaker, the victims, and not party members.
In education, the sector minister Haruna Idrisu has been updating Parliament on what government is doing as a form of relief to teachers who accept posting to the rural areas.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note that one of these incentives is a reduction in the number of years required to qualify for study leave. Originally, it was 3 years if you you are in a deprived area, we have reduced it now to 2 years. So any person who accepts posting to a rural deprived area after 2 years of service can apply for steady leave with pay. Government is committed to roll out a 20% salary we assured for rural posting allowance for teachers serving in rural and deprived areas, and the Ministry of Finance, GS, and the Ministry of Education is working as implementing that. We are currently engaged in some discussion to deploy the Teacher Dabre initiative of President Mahama, which was in the NDC manifesto, which will provide accommodation for teachers in rural areas to address the housing challenges that often affect teacher deployment and retention in those areas.
Chairman of the Education Committee, Peter Nochukoti, is calling for a dissolution of the governing council of the Bolgatanga Technical University following the council's decision to suspend the vice chancellor of the university.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, should dissolve the governing council of the Bolgatanga University and appoint a new council. And also, GTech must restore the current Vice Chancellor back to office. And then again, GTech should also take up the matter and report to the corruption-related organizations for investigation and report, so that the truth of the matter is established. For now, we think there are special or vested interests in that university, and academic freedom is really suffering on the campus.
The Parliament has adjourned to Tuesday to allow for the observation of the national holiday on the Republic Day on Friday. For Joy News, I am James Saveji, Parliament House, Accra.
While you're still watching The Pulse, please stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick turn. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us right here on The Pulse. Let's do some other stories this afternoon on The Pulse. Works on the Cardiology Center at the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital are progressing steadily as the Ghana Medical Trust Fund sets August 2026 as completion and commissioning date for the project. The facility, funded by the Trust Fund, will house Ashanti's region's first ever laboratory and other medical installations for diagnosis and treating cardiac diseases. A delegation from the Trust Fund was in the region to inspect the project of the work and also pay a courtesy visit to the National House of Chiefs. Emmanuel Barkwegu reports.
Representatives from the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, led by its administrator, have been addressing the National House of Chiefs over its mandates in championing quality healthcare delivery to citizens. The Trust Fund, otherwise known as Mahama Cares, is a national healthcare initiative spearheaded by the President to provide financial assistance to persons suffering from chronic non-communicable diseases. While lauding the government for the initiative, members of the National House of Chiefs questioned its sustainability. Ojahoho Yaojibi II is the president of the House.
The Mahama Cares. Oh, you don't agree with me? By your intervention, when you said that we should hammer on the name and not Mahama Cares, we don't want politics to be brought into this. But none of them are concerned because when a government starts an initiative, another government comes in and they don't follow it up, it's abandoned. That's why I have given you the example of Akufo housing project. I've given you SAC. What are the assurances? I know that this is an act of parliament, but it's the governing power which will allocate the resources.
Responding to the concerns, Administrator of the Fund, Ajwa Obo Biadaku Opoku, assured of sustenance of the initiative beyond the Mahama-led administration.
The Medical Trust Fund has a nickname, and the nickname is Mahama Cares. So when people come and say that, oh, after Mahama, there will be no Ghana Medical Trust Fund. Listen, the things we are putting up in this country is not something that you can easily neglect or decide that I'm not continuing. Any government that comes, the kind of foundation that we are putting on the ground, any government that comes, we want to build on it. You're not only paying for the medical bills of these persons living with the non-communicable diseases, you are training specialists to take care of them. You are investing in equipment and in infrastructure, and you are also investing in research. It's simply a holistic decision.
Meanwhile, the construction of the cardiology center funded by the Trust Fund is progressing steadily at the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital, with completion date set for August this year.
We started in February. We promised the people of Ghana that will be done by end of August. And since we are here, and the contractor and the foreman have also confirmed to us that by the end of August they will be done.
Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amakohene is positive of the benefits of investment of the Trust Fund in healthcare delivery in the Ashanti region.
This is going to help support cardio care, and beyond that, other diagnostic care right here in the region. And beyond that, they are going to read through Akufo-Addo, CT scans, MRIs, among others. So it's a comprehensive logistical support and infrastructural support that they are providing. And as she rightly mentioned, they're going to train specialists as well, so that they will be able to provide that comprehensive care.
So it is expected that in the coming months, this particular building, that is the catheterization laboratory here at the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital, will be completed to serve the emergency cardiac needs of residents here in the Ashanti region. From the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Away from Kumasi, the Assembly member for Nayili-Fong in the Tolon district, Akufo-Addo Chantiwuni, has called for a national unity drive against corruption, saying graft, weak leadership and poor governance are driving Ghana's economic challenges. He stressed that accountability, truth and civic participation are essential to reversing the country's economic stagnation.
The civic committees aim at promoting accountability and monitoring the performance of public office holders. Speaking during the launch, the Assembly member for the Nayili-Fong electoral area in the Tolon district, Akufo-Addo Chantiwuni, said the committee will engage citizens, public officials and government institutions to encourage transparency and responsible leadership.
The issues are coming from our so-called technocrats. We believe that they have the knowledge, they have the skills to help the system function. But in reality, they are tempting our DC into fraud. I've been in Assembly for almost 11 years. This is my third time in Assembly. And in that, I have demonstrated my will for fighting for Mother Ghana. And this is the first time we are introducing a committee to fight for, to do that particular civic activity. Vacancy is now on. It has been launched today, July 1st, and it will forever be in activity. It will continue to engage the public, engage our public trustees, even engage the ministers or the ministers of how far we have moved, or where we are moving, and when we shall get where we are moving to. Ghana must go beyond it. It is high time for us to move beyond seeking, moving to country, just seeking for support.
Mr. Chantiwuni further called on Ghanaians to reject corruption, misappropriation of public funds, saying these practices continue to hinder national development.
Looking at the natural resources God has endowed in Ghana, we should have also been partners in supporting others. But look at what is happening. Today, IMF is still with us. But the government of today, every government come and promise we'll go out of that, but it's not happening. Why can't we use truth to govern Ghana? But always we use falsehood. False is false and truth is truth. Whoever is saying it. But the truth and the reality is, it is time for us to say no to corruption, no to mismanagement, no to misappropriation, no to false promises. This is where we can make Ghana a better place for the underprivileged.
The Tolon District Director of the National Commission on Civic Education, Hawa Abdul Rahman, called for thorough investigation into allegations of corruption at the Tolon District Assembly, stressing that public resources must be protected.
At a point, I was getting scared because I thought some of the things he was saying, they weren't true. But I don't know, that hasn't been verified, but he said he did a lot of work that showed that what is happening is really true. And if really it's true, it needs to be what? Dealt with, because the resources of this country, and for that matter, Tolon District Assembly, belongs to everybody in Tolon and Ghana as a whole. So government purse needs to what? Be protected. And the Constitution binds us to protect this Constitution against all forms of what? Abuse. Currently as NCC, we are even doing sensitization on our Citizenship Week celebration. We are doing Citizenship Week celebration. And we are just craving the indulgence of Ghanaians and citizenry to defend this Constitution against all forms of abuse.
Well, imagine stepping into a modern lecture hall, prepared for advanced financial training, only to be asked to remove your shoes at the entrance. Well, for a group of Ghanaian professionals in Kuala Lumpur, that moment of discomfort quickly turned into curiosity and reflection, and as Sabit reports from Malaysia.
They came to Malaysia to study the pinnacle of Islamic finance, sukuk, regulatory frameworks and dual banking systems. But for a delegation from Ghana, the first lesson of the day didn't start in the boardroom. It started at the doorstep. Behind me is one of several lecture halls here at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. It is state-of-the-art, packed with new technology to aid lectures and our training. But there is one rule that is strictly enforced here at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. No shoes inside this particular hall. For our team, entering this room meant leaving a piece of the outside world right behind. The reaction was a mix of amusement. For many in the Ghanaian delegation, shoes are a symbol of dignity and status. But here, removing them is a sign of respect for the sanctity of the space. Professor Nudiana Wati Irwani Abdullah is an associate professor in laws and Sharia here at the Kuliya of Economics and Management Sciences at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. She says this is not just about hygiene, it is more about the Malaysian tradition.
We take our shoe, it's custom for cleanliness as well. It's part of our tradition because most of the Malays are Muslims, and Malay Muslims are very particular with cleanliness.
Dr. Adamu Ahmed Wudil is a research officer here at the Center for Islamic Economics at the IIUM. He says this culture is being applied by some lecturers who do not allow students to enter their offices with their shoes.
In most cases, some lecturers are even adapting same culture. You cannot enter their offices with shoes because already they have a very they tidy it up, they have a very nice carpet and the like, so it's so easy for you to pull out your shoe and just enter with your socks.
While the Malaysian students and faculty see this as second nature, the Ghanaians saw it as a stark contrast to their own customs back home, sparking a lively debate between modernity, tradition and practicality.
Coming here into an academic institution that had one of its halls saying that we shouldn't bring in our pairs of shoes, well, it's the first time, but I don't find it as strange. I should also say it's made us more relaxed. It's making things much more comfortable. It's making things much more casual instead of being too diplomatic.
No, it's not, because I think because I'm Muslim, I'm very much used to it. Because at home, once I get into the house, you take it off and you enter. Yeah, so it's, for me, it's like, it's not really a cultural shock. The only thing is, because the place is cold, I'm not wearing socks. So yeah, it's not so cool. But aside that,
I wouldn't say I was shocked because I do remove my shoes when I enter into places, especially the mosques. But to do it at a university or a training center or ground, it's where the difference is. But I tell you what, it's quite relieving. I
mean, it's strange. It's really strange to go to a space and you're asked to take off your shoes. But I mean, we have to bear in mind that it's their space and they command it. They say when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. So definitely some level of obedience should come from our side. And if that entailed we taking off our shoes, yes, why not?
Did you feel relaxed?
I think so. In fact, I've had to walk barefooted around because I felt I felt at home, actually.
In the end, the delegation left the hall with more than just notes on sukuk structures and regulatory models. They left with a quiet understanding that the architecture of Islamic finance is not built on interest rates or profit margins alone. It is built on adab, a profound sense of respect, humility, and spiritual discipline that begins long before the deal is signed. It begins with a simple act of acknowledging that some spaces demand reverence and that true knowledge requires us to share the weight of the outside world. Reporting for Joy News, Anna Sabit, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Well, that's how we wrap up the Pulse. I appreciate your time and your company. It's been great doing this with you. On Fridays, the Pulse is for 90 minutes, so it's time for us to go. If you're wondering why we're going so early, please stay safe, stay informed. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safa. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.